It was December 18, 2004, when Jean-Luc Jossuat Vergès, a 48-year-old Frenchman, left his house without saying much. He lived in Vic-en-Bigorre, in the southwest of France. He only told his wife that he needed some time alone to think. He got in his car and drove to an old abandoned mushroom farm near Mataran. The place was filled with underground tunnels, dark and unused for decades. He took with him a flashlight, a bottle of whiskey, some sleeping pills, and a blanket. But what he was truly looking for in there was death. It was winter. It was cold. He entered alone, without telling anyone. He was depressed, disoriented, and ready to put an end to the emptiness he felt inside. Walking through narrow, unknown crevices, he advanced about 200 meters into the darkness. At a certain point, the flashlight slipped from his hand and went out. That's when everything changed. He was completely surrounded by total darkness. He no longer knew where he had come from or where he was going. No light, no signal, no food. And the worst part, he no longer wanted to die. Jean-Luc spent the first few days trying to escape the cave. He lost his shoes, soaked in mud, and called out, screamed, for help. He began using plastic tarps and old rags he found on the ground to stay warm. He slept wrapped in scraps however he could, always in the dark. The cold was constant, and the humidity seemed to seep into his bones. Days kept passing. He started drinking the water that dripped from the cave walls. And yes, he began eating mud, decaying wood, and even pieces of old paper, anything that had a texture different from stone. At certain moments, he later said, he even sang to himself, just to feel the sensation of hearing a human voice. Extreme hunger caused him to lose more than 18 kilos, nearly 40 pounds. He thought about taking his own life. He found a piece of rope, but the idea that he might still make it out alive started to grow inside him. Even there, in total darkness, with a wounded body and an exhausted mind, hope stubbornly refused to die. He was trapped in there for 35 days, alone, with no one having any idea where he was. On January 21st, 2005, 3 teenagers were exploring the area around the abandoned plantation. Classes had been suspended due to a teacher's strike, so they decided to play in the rural zone of Mataran. When they passed near the tunnels, they noticed a car that had been parked there for days. They found it strange. They told an adult from the village, who in turn alerted the authorities. A few hours later, rescue teams were inside the structure. Upon entering the site, despite the total darkness, they began the search and managed to trace the path Jean had taken. After passing through narrow and dangerous crevices, they finally reached him. They found Jean-Luc about 200 meters from the entrance. Weak, extremely thin, filthy, but alive. When the rescuers arrived, he was curled up, trembling, his skin pale and cracked. But he managed to speak. He said he survived by drinking water from the cave walls, that in the first days he tried to escape, but then gave up, that he thought he was going to die there, and then simply didn't. He was taken to the hospital, where he underwent rehydration and received intensive care. He recovered in just a few days and left the doctors astonished, not only for surviving so long without food, but for not developing any serious infections. He told his story to the French press shortly afterward. When asked what he used to think about during the dark nights, he simply replied, "I no longer knew if it was day or night. I just knew I was still breathing. If that's not a miracle, then what is?" That's it for today, dear. Thank you for watching this video, and if you enjoy content like this, leave a like. See you next time, and a big hug from Mr. Square.